I did the digressive moment. I dug out some quotes from Jim in an NPR interview 2,000 years ago that I think were just so great. You managed to assemble an extraordinary collection of writers there, including Tom Wolfe, Jimmy Breslin. How did you do it? You know, I'm not a boss. I'm somebody who goes out and says, I need your help. But it's amazing how people want to feel needed. And they were sort of stars before, and I just gave them a bigger chance and a bigger playing field. I've used that. I mean, I've learned as an editor the last nearly 3 years, the number one thing I do is give permission. That people make a pitch, they want to do something, you help them define it in a way that gives it a chance of success. Some people do amazing things, and then their confidence goes up, and they do another amazing thing, and then all of a sudden they feel like a star. Other people find out they can't do it and deal with it. But I think that's what Jim is saying. He had all these other great quotes. The newspapers now are too tame. You need more people with passion who are willing to take risks and a commitment to making a difference. They ought to take risks, which they've got to. It's productive to be helpful to people to make a better life and a better sense out of the news. I mean, that's really the holy grail for me. I mean, my paper is the world's most successful shopper that became a paid circulation paper in 1980. I joined it in 85 when they started hiring professionals and trying to be a professional paper. It's you know, the ultimate bourgeois, middle class, boring suburb that I ran away from growing up in for 40 years, but it's become my religion. I think it's the hope of, you know, the city of Los Angeles and the opportunity, and to try to articulate that story, to try to discover it. I mean, I think it's things I learned along the way to try to put the pizzazz on it, the headline on it, how do you hit their hearts, how do you touch their minds. I mean, those are things that I think Jim, I think he intuitively knew it by some. I mean, some people got a nose for news. For me, it was never easy. I had to work really hard to have any sense of what this was about. But, you know, I think the Herald Examiner, I go out in the community a lot. People know me a lot. And when they come up and say, you know, you kind of remind me of the Herald Examiner. And I say, how much? You know, because, I mean, Jim worked with us as a consultant. He was a friend of Dean Singleton, the owners, and he hung out there, and he would come up to me. You know, he sneaks up behind you with a little piece of paper, and he puts it down, or he'd whisper in your ear, and you're like, what am I going to do with that? I'm going to make that of it. And we'd talk, and so much of what he saw was impossible in a paper like the Daily News, at least back 7, 8 years ago. It's a little more possible now, but when your average reader is 72, you know, I mean, their tolerance for change and hipness, you know, putting a near-naked picture of Lindsay Lohan on the front page nearly caused a riot, you know, in Chatsworth. You know, I mean, I've learned better, but there are limits in the taste and judgment problem. But it's the fundamental feel of it. It's how do you, it's not a story, it's the projection of the story. And there were days when we really had the product, when I think Jim Bellows created a page where every single headline, story, and word were a single experience. It was holistic journalism. It was like, it all made sense. The whole world made sense because he saw it all playing off one another, and I've never seen anybody else do that. But there were glorious days in which, you know, you picked up the paper and you say, son of a bitch, that's incredible. I haven't achieved that yet in my life, but I did see it. And I saw it from Jim Bellows, and it's the goal, is to produce a paper that really captures the way it is today. Anyway, that's what I experienced.
Beautiful, thank you. So what I want to do, because I really want to make this interactive, there's so many people here I'd love to hear from. Some of you have said that you'd share a story or two. And just for a couple of minutes, a brief story. I'm going to start with Pam Moreland. Where's Pam? There she is. Now, you can come on up, sure. Now, if you don't know Pam Moreland, she was a reporter at the Herald. She's gone on and been working at the San Jose Mercury News and had a wonderful career there. And recently chose to take the buyout and is going on to her next career. But Pam, tell us when you were at the Herald and...
like the former editor of the Daily News has arrived just recently.
I like Dave.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right. They offered me money.
Give us a little story, Pam.
Well, I'm Pam Moreland, and I was at the Herald for about a year. I think I got hired in 1978, and then I went to the Times in 1980, so very brief. I'm going to turn it backwards. I remember the parties. I remember the good friends. Breakstone and I used to go to Corky's on Friday. We'd have a cheeseburger, fries, and Bloody Marys, and then we'd go back to the office and we'd write for the weekend. I remember Rich Turner's wedding. He married Marie. It was at the Nicole Yorkin's house. Nicole's dad was Bud Yorkin, and I remember some of us started walking through the house, because it was like Bud Yorkin's house, and we walked in this room, and there were like Emmys there. Whoa, let's go through this door. And we walked through, and there was Bud Yorkin and Mrs. Yorkin in the bed. And we said, "Hi, how are you?" And just kept on going. Oh, really? They had a nice...
Those are Bugsy Siegel shot.
Anyway, there's so many memories and all that. So, but I just remember the good times and the friends and going out and partying and just doing crazy things. But two things. One, so I had a very hard transition at the Herald Examiner. The reason I wanted to work there was because I had read that there were a lot of East Coast editors that were coming out to show the Westerners how to write. And they were bringing like New York Magazine type stuff, and I wanted to be part of that. And so Wally was there, Andrew Jaffe was there, Alex was my editor for a while, and I just wanted to learn that, but it was a hard transition for me. So one day I had gone out on a fire, I think, and the house had been destroyed. It was, I think, Latinos. The mom was crying, the kids were just, and I just wrote this really gut-wrenching story. And the next morning I'm in the office, and I think I was at the photocopying machine, and Jim Bellows comes by. He had never spoken to me. I didn't think he knew who he was. And all I heard was this mumble, "My story on page 4. It was great. I was like up here. It was terrific. And I just want to remember two people that aren't here that really made an impact on my life. One is Gwen Jones. She was the fashion editor. Oh, what a class individual. What a wonderful down-to-earth person. She married Channing Johnson. They moved to Pasadena. Gwen always, I remember I gave her a teacup. You do, and it was the first time I gave her a teacup for her wedding. She was just wonderful. And the other one is Sarai Ribikoff. I don't know if a lot of you remember Sarai. Her death really impacted me, and every time I listen to the Ramones, I still think of her. So it was like the best time in my life, and I've tried to take. I was telling Frank Lawley, is Donnie Forrest here? Somebody said Donnie is here. When I went to New York, I went to the Daily News, and Donnie Forrest was doing New York Newsday, and Tom Plate was there. And I fell in with a bunch of New York Newsday's people, and I saw Tom Plate. He took me out to lunch and just talked to me and encouraged me and said, just give me tips. And there was no reason for Tom Plate, the editorial page editor of the Herald Examiner, to take time with me, but it was just terrific. So I just want to say the leadership of that newsroom has made an impact on me, and, well, on to the next thing, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam. Peter Ranger. Peter, stand where you are. Let's see if we can hear you. If not, I'll make you come up here and get a microphone. Peter Rainer is one of the top movie critics in the United States of our generation. He's currently the Christian Science Monitor. And let's see if we can hear you, Peter. If not, I'll make you come up here.
I was born in a log cabin. I have a lot of memories. I mean, first I remember going in for a job interview, Mary Ann's office. to whom I owe so much, including the job at the Herald, really. And I was